Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I'm naturopathic Dr. Fiona Chin, co-founder of Kidney Coach and the Kidney Disease Solution and head formulator at Genesis. And I'm joined again today by the amazing Meg Munits. She is a new member of the K&I team, the Kidney Nutritional Institute, with an absolute specialty in treating pediatrics and children diagnosed with kidney disease, which I think Kay and I are so lucky to have you, Meg, because it is such an area that really there's not a lot of dedicated research or really an understanding of what types of diets we can implement for children that are going to be really home hitting and positive for kids. So first off, thank you for everything that you do and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you back here again.
Aw, thanks, Fiona. It's so great to be here again. Thank you again for this platform.
Oh, of course. And it's great for you to share your knowledge and just, especially if there are parents out there with children diagnosed with any sort of kidney disease. And I know your son has PKD himself, but really any type of Alports or anything like that children may have in that genetic field, or even just a kidney disease itself. But today I thought your topic that you want to speak about, I think, is such a great topic, and that is clinical trials. And I think that's something that, we spoke before we started hitting record of what you're doing there and really paving the way forward and contributing to hopefully future generations having a much better understanding of how to manage kidney disease in children and pediatrics. So why don't you start by telling everybody a bit about what clinical trials are going on and maybe what they've found, and then we'll dive into some more stuff in case people want to get involved in them.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I think for CKD in children in general, it's sort of a rare condition in children in general, chronic kidney disease. And to get involved in a clinical trial is an amazing way to, help researchers and help clinicians develop, new treatments, even just like standard clinical operating procedures. What is how can doctors treat conditions and treat chronic kidney disease? And, we're on the cusp of treatment. We're just looking at, maybe just GFR or, proteinuria. Those are basically the main biomarkers for kidney disease. So just even establishing new biomarkers, like every little thing helps contribute to, just the way clinicians look at kidney disease in children.
Yeah. And do you know some good clinical trials floating around at the moment and what they're doing, so people have an idea of what are they testing? Because I guess some people might think, well, my child going to get stabbed with a needle every 5 minutes. Like, what's that looking like? Like, what type
I know.
of
I know. That's a big concern. There's all types of different clinical trials. There are some that are just registries. And they can just be, sort of generic chronic kidney disease registries, or specific to the rare, if your child has a rare form of kidney disease like PKD, there are registries. So there's one out of Children's National in Washington, D.C., and it's just for PKD, both AD and AR-PKD. And all you do is submit just your child's general information, maybe some medical records, and that's it. And they're part of the registry. I believe there's also a European branch of that registry too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it is a global registry, and I just encourage people to look into it. There's also observational trials, so you can go and they basically study how the disease manifests in your child over time. So it's not any sort of medicine or anything like that. They do will do some blood work, so there's a little bit of needle pricking going on, but they really look out for the welfare of the child. There will be child life specialists that will bring all kinds of things to placate your child, so that it's not just like a regular doctor's visit. They'll have like an iPad, and they have like numbing cream, and they have toys, and they have all kinds of things, and they will not do it if your child is not comfortable. They want your
Right.
child to be comfortable and you know, willing to participate in this. It's not just like a parent forcing the child to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so that sort of observational trial, they're sort of just monitoring how it manifests. So it's more they're just looking at the progression for certain children. And I guess they'd be gathering feedback about maybe what would be accelerating. So they're going to extrapolate information from that, I'm assuming, right?
That's correct. So, as I mentioned to you, my son is in a observational trial at University of Chicago for PKD, and PKD in children is a new sort of journey that everyone's on. It was always considered an adult onset disease. So the fact that it's now being recognized in children is it's an opportunity to study how the disease progresses from childhood through to an adult years. And we haven't had that insight before. So it was important to me as a mom to, ask my child if he wanted to participate in it. And we have access to all types of testing that we wouldn't normally have, just going to the regular nephrologist. So he gets an MRI. Some trials even include genetic testing. So as you know, genetic testing is very, expensive. And, in the clinical trial, it doesn't go on your medical record. So if there's certain things that you want to know and that you want to test and that you want to be aware of, but you don't want it necessarily on your medical record, like we talked about before, for insurance reasons and things like that, a clinical trial is a great opportunity to, they'll study from head to toe, and none of it is documented in your medical record.
That's amazing. And then I guess, you just get access to so much more information that you may not even get, which for you as a medical practitioner, must be actually pretty exciting to be able to maybe piece some puzzle pieces together with some of the information that you've got, right?
Yes, absolutely. And, speaking of nutrition, there are clinical trials also that involve nutrition and diet. There was also a clinical trial that was testing curcumin for PKD, and it was open to children for that too. So that's so exciting to test something like that that's not, necessarily have the risk that, a new pharmaceutical would have. So I encourage people to just, research online, ask their nephrologist or their, pediatrician if they know of any clinical trials going on. Many medical institutions have their own trials that maybe they can't necessarily, promote in the room because that's, because of HIPAA regulations and stuff. But, you can go on their website, institution's website, and see if there are trials going on there. And, it's just a great opportunity to take your child's care to the next level.
Yeah. And as you say, without all the side negatives of insurance, and plus all the extra sort of benefits of getting all the extra tests. You said something to me off camera before, which I loved, and it's how you spoke to your son about what he was doing, and you said he was part of Captain America or something like that, wasn't it? I thought it was brilliant. Tell the viewers more about that, because I think it was such a lovely way for him to understand what he was doing and what he was participating in. I thought it was really clever and really actually very beautiful.
Yeah, it was hard. He started the trial when he was 7, and it was kind of hard for him to comprehend really what we were doing and why he was, why we traveled to Chicago for this trial, and while we were in the hospital. And so I said, let's think about Captain America, how he, after the war, he went into, the big machine, and the scientists were studying him for the better of humanity. So I said, let's think about it like that. Like, you are a PKD superhero. You are going inside an MRI machine. As scary as it is, it's only for, 15, 20 minutes. and you're going to come out a superhero because you're helping all the researchers really explore this disease for other children and for future generations. And we kind of like turn the whole day into like, what if we were writing a a comic book? We're going through the halls. I said, pay attention to everything, and we can draw it out and really kind of embrace this idea of being a superhero.
That is so cool. What a great thing to do. And did it have an impact on him?
It did. Like we even came up, we drew a picture of what the superhero would look like, what colors he would wear, what would be his weapon. And so for PKD, we said his weapon would be water. So he had like water guns on his hands. So it helped give a lighter side to, the kind of the heaviness of why we were there.
Yeah. And it's a great way to rewrite the narrative of having something like PKD, right? That he's got this, but he's actually participating in potentially finding a cure or really effective treatments for maybe his children and the generations before that. And in some ways, it's really quite, I can imagine the messaging is very empowering for a child to feel like he might actually he's part of the conversation about the future, which I think is, I don't know whether children will pick that up, but I think we underestimate children's ability to see that sort of stuff. So I think that's really, really cool, because I wonder whether it also just changes the narrative of actually even having a disease in the first place.
That's what I'm hoping. That was actually one of my initiatives for rewriting the narrative of this, devastating family disease, this disease that carries such a heavy weight with, through the ancestors and through family members. And I was hoping that this approach would, empower him. So we'll see. I'll let you know in about 10 years.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing clinical trials for now?
So he has been doing this for 5 years now.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, I guess they're still observational and looking. Have there been any new breakthroughs or anything coming out, or is it just such a new area still that they're still thinking about different ways and things that they can do to really treat the condition?
Yeah, because it is a slow progressing disease. It does, take some time to study it. I've noticed that they are starting to incorporate children in some of the pharmaceutical ones. I recently saw one that they're opening up to children age 12. So really like, capturing the teenage years to see if they can, while the child is still developing. So, I think that's really important because, as the FDA approves these pharmaceuticals, and then we kind of dumb them down for kids, and we don't really know because there's not been any trials on them. So this is, a great opportunity for that to happen, for really to study what the disease and treatments can do for kids, because their bodies are different than adults.
Yeah, exactly. That's so fascinating. And so is there anything, so I'm guessing if there's parents out there going, well, is this something we want to do for our child, and how would it help? What message would you want to pass on to children and parents where they've got a child with some sort of CKD and issue and are thinking about, I mean, obviously the benefits are you're going to get access to other testing. It doesn't have to go on your insurance. You'll get to pay, or, to have stuff that maybe no one else has done. I can see the benefits, but and then there'll be concern. So is there anything that you want to pass on to any parent out there listening that's thinking, oh, is this worth me doing with my child? Or do I just wait till all the research comes out and then jump on the bandwagon then and take the advantages of everybody else doing it?
Yeah, that's a big concern, to be sort of at the testing phase. And I think, one of the things that I have gained, which I didn't really comprehend at the time, but I have access to such amazing doctors that I normally wouldn't have just going to my nephrologist, my local nephrologist. Like I can sit down and have a conversation with the top nephrologists in the country who are studying this disease. and they have connections, and they, go to events, and I'm all of a sudden tapped into this resource, this pool of resources that I wouldn't even have imagined before. So that
Mm.
has been really, I don't know, life-changing. And, because I've, kind of stumbled now into this new career and working with nutrition, I can ask them about it, and who do they know? And so it's really like opened up my my circle to all kinds of amazing, amazing clinicians that I wouldn't have access to if I wasn't doing the trial.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And for children, do you think, obviously your son seems to have, I mean, like I say, I love the narrative and what you've done around that. I'd probably be encouraging all parents to take some sort of similar narrative. And he's continued to be okay each year, heading to Chicago and doing all of that sort of stuff as he's gotten older with it
Hmm.
all.
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of cool that we travel to it because we make it a whole weekend. We have family there. We go visit family. Last year we went to an amusement park that was there, so it becomes like a whole like vacation kind of centered around
Mhm.
him. And then last year, I have two other boys, and they were like, "Are we going this year?" So, so I was like, okay. So we all traveled together, and it's kind of been like a very supportive, um, kind of beautiful thing that we do once a year. And just the appointments for a couple of hours are almost sort of, on the sidelines. And then we get to go to museums and amusement parks and restaurants, and it becomes a whole, we're kind of celebrating it.
Yeah, I
So,
love that. Yeah, well, that's great. So, again, if there's a parent out there wanting to maybe do this, you're saying the best way to do is to get onto the Institute's sort of websites and just see if there's some clinical trials um, specifically around children, and then finding something that might work, whether it be observational, which means you're just uploading records, or like the one that you're doing in Chicago, where you're getting some extra testing done, or if people feel so they want to actually participate in a pharmaceutical trial or try new medications and things like that. You've sort of got options of all of those sort of different areas, don't you?
absolutely. The best website to go to is clinicaltrials.gov, and
Okay.
that gov, and that
Mm-hmm.
is it's a global website. So it well, you can put in whatever country you're in, you can put in the disease type, you can put in, pediatrics or adults. They have every trial that is registered will be listed there. So you can have, and you can see like past trials. So you can see information about if trials worked or not. You can see like current ones. You can see ones that are coming up. So maybe they're not recruiting yet. Um, and then it also will list like multi-institutions, which is a sign of a good trial if they're testing in multiple places across either the country or across the world. Um, so there's a lot of information on there. And then also, like I said, in the institution that's near you, you can just go on their website, like a children's hospital, and see if they are they're conducting research there.
Yeah. Now, you made a couple of good points, and I want to circle back to that to know if it's a good clinical trial. Is there anything else as a parent you want to be looking out for to make sure it's not a backyard job where you're going to get stabbed with something and some weird herb? Is there anything else? Like, I think that was a really good point that you made. Is there anything else as a parent and as a clinician, because you'll have extra insight into this, that you look for when you're selecting a clinical trial for your child?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like the multi-institutional is a good sign, especially if it's a drug trial.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make sure that they're um, you know, tapping into different populations, and not just, a homogenous one around the institution.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the observational ones might be more just localized to one institution, um, and focused with what that researcher. So that's perfectly fine too. Um, I have personally haven't ventured off into the pharmaceutical trials yet, just because I'm still a little nervous about it. But
Yeah, that's
um,
fair too.
but there are many. many opportunities, and you can ask your, your nephrologist too. They will be aware, maybe they can't market it themselves, but if you ask them about it, they can tell you about what they know about, what they've heard, if, this trial is a good one, or, if they trust that, if there's a drug involved, do they trust it, or they think would be a good fit for you. So definitely check with your physician too.
Great. Okay. I think there's some great opportunities for children coming through to be part of the narrative change, and potentially, like you say, I know if I had a child with a chronic kidney disease, just being part of those trials where you can get extra testing would be I think that's a massive advantage. So is there anything else, Meg, that you want to add to this as a parent or as a clinician of clinical trials and children? And how long do we start to see the benefits of some of these trials?
I think that, and this can kind of go either way, depending upon, your child, and the people know their child best, but it is an active way to have the child involved in the disease. Lots of times, as a parent, we're just telling the kid what to do all the time. And with the chronic disease, it just adds another layer of, drink more water and eat less sodium. And you can't have that. You can't have this. So, and the child is just, sort of absorbing it and maybe even rejecting it. And to have them involved in a trial, could potentially, sort of have them deal with it psychologically, because they're an active participant. They're not just like listening to you telling them what they can and cannot have or do or play or, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think, just many, when you have a child with a rare disease, you kind of feel alone, and you aren't necessarily aware of resources out there. And this could be an opportunity, even if you don't eventually go through with it for whatever reason, whatever personal reason, or your child doesn't want to participate in it. The fact that you took the initiative to research and make connections and, could just help you process the fact that your child has this disease.
I think that's a really good point as well. And I think all of those sort of things stop, I wonder if they're probably not doing an observational trial on this, but because your son's been so involved in his condition from such a young age, just how that will translate across his life. I'd be just fascinated in that as well, because I guess, like you say, he's got the superhero narrative. He's also got that responsibility, and, teenagers and children will be children, but there's also that voice in the back of the head about needing to drink more water and, just doing small things like that, just the potential long-term impact that will have on hopefully slowing the progression down and improving his long-term health and outcomes, I think is, also really cool, which I'm hoping we might see some studies on that in time to come. But I think all of that sort of stuff, I only think you can empower your child through doing the journey with what you're doing. So I think that's
so.
good. Yeah. I know it's hard as a mother because you've got the clinician hat and the mother hat, and you've got to be able to blend the two, right?
Yes. 24 hours a day.
Yeah. And of course, there's going to be some massive benefits to that. But also, I guess, as a child and your son, you'll be also like, oh, mum's the doctor again today. So he gets both,
Yes.
but hopefully to his benefit. Well, if there's anyone out there listening who has a child diagnosed with PKD or CKD, Meg is an absolute gun and expert when it comes to pediatric management of any chronic kidney disease. You can find her on the Kidney Nutritional Institute website. It's kidneynutritionalinstitute.org. I'll put the details below. And if you have a child, and again, because Meg is working through it herself, she's very, very well educated from her own experience and been a clinician of how to potentially put some great supports in for your child to help hopefully slow the progression and just make the whole experience for your child and maybe a more positive one. Is that the best word to put it? Or a more empowering one?
Yes.
I think maybe more empowering one, we'll say. So make sure you reach out to Meg. She can work with you wherever you are in the world, the wonders of Zoom and telehealth, which happened during the pandemic. So she's got a large reach. So please reach out to Meg if you want any support with your child. She'll be more than happy to support you and even just connect you with communities and support networks and things like that. You know, as she's mentioned, that's really important. Remember to hit like and subscribe. That way you'll get notified anytime we put up a new video. And if you have a child diagnosed with chronic kidney disease and you have any questions or topics that you think would be great to have Meg on here and chat about, please put them in the comments below and we'll make sure we pass them on to Meg and we'll get her back to chat about them. Sometimes we don't even think about the big topics and it will be you amazing community out there that knows exactly what you want us to answer. So don't be shy. Please let us know if there's anything that you would like Meg to chat about. Meg, thank you again for your wisdom and sharing all your knowledge. I'm really hoping that we'll grow this space and really put together a really great resource for children diagnosed with any sort of chronic kidney disease with your expertise. So again, thank you. And we will have you back again and maybe our community will give us some topics. Otherwise, I know we've got heaps that we can chat about.
Thank you so much, Fiona. I really appreciate it.
Of course. All right, everybody. Thanks for being part of our community. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.